Looks like this topic also sets the tone for the upcoming topic, ladies and gentlemen, because somewhere we are actually focusing around building better futures. Now, that is the underlying theme for our next session. And we have with us none other than Mark Reed, the CEO of WPP. And now, having held multiple leadership positions at WPP since he joined in 1989, Mark has a deep understanding of the industry. As head of strategy and then CEO of WPP Digital, he was responsible for WPP's first moves into technology. In 2015, he became global CEO of Wonderman, which he transformed into one of the world's leading creative data and technology agencies. So let's deep dive into this interesting session around building better futures, featuring Mr. Mark Reed.
I'm delighted to join you today during this year's Global Business Summit. Of course, I'd much prefer to be there in person with you, but as we know, that's currently very challenging. So I should start by thanking the Economic Times for their invitation to join you today. Organising an event like this is never easy, but I'm pleased to see so many excellent speakers and participants and to be part of such an impressive group. The theme of this event, the Great Resurgence, Now, Next and Beyond, struck me as compelling. As we move out of the pandemic and look ahead, we hope to have a better future. As I speak this today, I do so against the background of the terrible events in Ukraine, which I wanted to acknowledge. Much as they call into question many of our beliefs about our humanity, they do not change my fundamental belief that as we prepare for and build this resurgence or recovery, we have the opportunity to build in a more values-led and purpose-driven environment for growth. And over the next quarter of an hour, I'd like to share some of the thoughts on why we should harness this great resurgence and how we must drive purpose into our approach to build a better future, before ending on some observations about this new normal and the role that creativity and technology can play. Our industry, whether we think of it as the advertising or marketing or creative industry, is regarded to be at the front line of purpose. Indeed, at WPP, we've helped clients worldwide on their journey to embrace their purpose. We welcome clients who wish to explore, define and deliver their purpose and then share it with their consumers. Looking back, it almost seems counterintuitive that an industry that was built to encourage consumers to consume more is now being re-engineered to ask them to consume better. Indeed, in some cases, less. But that is the change we have witnessed now more than ever. The pandemic's last few years have forced many organisations to effectively rewire their business models and build purpose into something meaningful and measurable. And this has been accelerating because of the pandemic's colossal impact on our lives. Changes like those we've seen during the pandemic typically happen over a generation, not in 2 short years. We've had to change how we work, where we eat and socialise, how we communicate, travel and shop. We witnessed families separated for years as borders were closed. Personal moments such as births, marriages and even sadly deaths have been turned on their heads as we often face them alone and apart. This profound disruption has reset and raised consumer expectations of business, simply because so many habits and rituals have been broken and consumer interest in purpose has been awakened like never before. Consumers want to know who they are buying from, working with and being led by. They have a rapidly growing expectation that businesses must create positive social impact while providing products for profit. Purpose has moved from a selling point to a basic necessity of business. Done well, it can be a differentiator, but not done at all is not an option. And against this background of a global pandemic, the climate crisis and the related supply chain, transport, energy, infrastructure and other challenges, what's being noticed more than ever before is that the behaviour of business is perhaps more important than the business of business. And let's look at what I mean by this. Before we can go out and make a change in the world, we all have a duty and responsibility as leaders of our companies, entities and organisations to ensure our own house is in order. One of the most significant transformations at WPP since 2018 is that, for the first time, we set out a clear purpose for our company. That is, to use the power of creativity, what makes us special, to build better futures for our people, planet, clients and communities. And that purpose has been invaluable to our business over the pandemic. It's brought our people together, focused our growth ambitions and helped build closer and better client relationships. It's the right thing to do and it's informed the decisions we've made over the last 2 years. Our purpose encompasses the work we do for our clients, our ESG commitments and our internal commitments to diversity, equity and inclusion. First, we need to focus on our people, ensuring we hire diverse people, have an inclusive culture, look after their mental health. If we do this, we continue to attract the best people to our company, we'll keep them, and we'll do the best work for our clients. We'll grow faster. Secondly, we have to minimize WPP's impact on the planet. That's why we see our industry-leading target to be net zero in our operations by 2025 and net zero through our entire supply chain by 2030 as so important. Thirdly, we need to work with clients to use the power of creativity to tell their stories and support product innovation. We know that consumers can only make more sustainable decisions if we give more options. And if we do that, as our clients grow, so will our business. And finally, using the power of creativity, we at WPP can help our communities, just as we've helped governments, vaccine makers and health authorities communicate during the pandemic. Our purpose is brought to life in many ways, from the recent campaign we created for the World Health Organization, where we offered match-funded vaccine donations to our 110 employees, to our long-term commitment to the WPP India Foundation, delivering better educational outcomes for thousands of underprivileged children. We've made commitments to drive out carbon from more than $50 billion that we spend each year on media, which means that 1/3 of the world's advertising and media currently bought by WPP will be net zero by 2030. And we continue to blaze a trail in DE&I, winning awards and accolades for our commitment to drive diversity into our business and to use our influence as a positive force for equity and inclusion. We do this because our insight and research shows that purpose can drive growth. It drives innovation, collaboration, and experimentation. It finds new ways to engage with consumers in areas which they're passionate about. It drives growth. Research by Wunderman Thompson has found that 82% of people believe that businesses should put people and planet before profit. But this does not mean there should be any trade-off between purpose and profit. That's certainly the case at WPP. That same study showed that 81% of consumers had said they're expecting to buy more sustainable products in the future. They're ready to spend. Employees want their employers to do good, and 83% will be more loyal to a business that prioritizes ESG, and millennials would choose their next boss on their sustainability goals. As purpose drives growth, purposeful actions by companies are being rewarded across the board and boardrooms. Brands with solid ESG credentials grew 2.5 times faster than those without. And I can assure that at WPP, we do not see any conflict between purpose and profit. Indeed, the purpose part of our DNA is helping us grow faster. That's because we know that consumers, our clients, our people, and our investors, leaders like Larry Fink from BlackRock, demand it and will reward us for it. Now, in addition to an unwavering commitment to purpose as a driver for recovery, what else have we learned during these recent uncertain times? The pandemic has caused a fundamental shift in the way business operates. Technology, now more than ever, is the primary driver of growth. Industry, governments and stakeholders who prioritize the engineering, development and delivery of technology solutions will be amongst those who build back not just better, but best. At WPP, we're focusing our investment in these high growth technology areas. They account for 26% of our business today and will account for 40% by 2025. And our M&A approach is focusing on areas like marketing technology and e-commerce. A recent study by the Pew Research Center found that 9 out of 10 people now say the internet has been essential for them during the COVID outbreak, with 4 out of 5 saying they've talked with others via video calls since the pandemic started. I'm sure a high percentage of them, like us, will have been on mute at some point in that conversation. Now, certainly, my own experience of the pandemic has demonstrated the power of video. I've seen twice as many clients when I was not able to travel as before when I could. That's good for the planet, and it's good for me. And look at the breakthrough in education online learning. I was delighted to hear that during the pandemic, the many pupils at the schools supported by the WPP Foundation were able to continue to learn, connected, often in small groups on their parents' phones. What a fantastic opportunity. And it means that all the opportunity for technology, or perhaps technology with purpose, is more significant than it may ever have been. In addition to purpose and technology, we believe strongly that the relationship between employer and employee has irreversibly changed. It's become closer, more trusting, and more critical. Although hundreds of millions of people have faced working from home for longer than they may wish, Their physical distance has not stopped work from building stronger bonds in the workplace. Will businesses want to walk back these bonds, or has it now become a permanently new way of working? Our industry is historically an in-person collaborative business where bringing people together is associated with better results, especially when innovating or creating. We have 109,000 people in over 100 countries. With an employee population so large and diverse, investing in people must be our number one priority. And ironically, the pandemic has strengthened these bonds. I'm very proud of the leadership that CVL Srinivas, our WPP country manager in India, and his team have led in the pandemic a year ago. Our people, led by Srini, pulled together in ways we've never experienced to help each other and to keep each other safe. It's made WPP a much more collaborative culture. And many employees see their employer as the most trusted relationship in their life, and this applies to the most credible source of information for their pandemic. So we've learned over the pandemic that to drive the great resurgence, we need to lock in our purpose, embrace technology, and redefine working relationships. We've also seen the most significant test of truth in modern times. The pandemic has been a pandemic of misinformation as much as disease. Communities have been polarized and divided more than ever before. Global institutions from government to academics have been battered, but gradually yet to be broken. In our industry, we're often confronted with the accusation that we're purveyors of persuasion or we play fast in some way with the facts. It's far from the truth, and it's a stereotype we want to overturn. Amongst all the noise, our industry can still be a compelling force for good. I discussed our work with governments and institutions like the World Health Organization, to whom we provided $50 million of free media space from our partners to help the delivery of communication and information during the pandemic. But even amongst this maelstrom of information, science, facts and misinformation, one thing's never been more critical. On the one end, they can save lives. On the other, they help keep business accountable to purpose, and that's very important to WPP. The reason it's important is that 32 of our top 50 clients have set their targets to get to net zero in the next 5 or 10 years. And although they often balance a complex set of society and environmental challenges, it's clear that businesses globally are making a contribution. But what isn't measured doesn't matter, and that's why rigorous ambitions demand science-based targets and transparent auditing and tracking. WPP has recently been recognised as a world leader on climate change with a newly upgraded from B to A- rating in the CDP 2021 scorecard, one of the most critical ESG ratings, and this score positively impacts how we invest and how we fund our growth. Ultimately, though, the work our industry does in all its forms will always be one of the most compelling ways to deliver a message to consumers. We take complicated messages about public health, social distancing or vaccine information and simplify them. Using the power of creativity, we can help people to understand their options and promote public health. I'm not in any way suggesting that WPP or our industry is on the front line of managing the pandemic, but at the same time, the health challenge was frequently a communications challenge, and there we can play our role. So these are our learnings from our recent past. What of our future, and how will we drive this great resurgence? As I shared at the beginning of this speech, I believe in our purpose at WPP to use the power of creativity to build better futures for our people, planet, clients and communities. Creativity is the lifeblood of innovation. Innovative ideas for technology and purpose will deliver our great resurgence. We know this at WPP because creativity is at the heart of our business. There's no doubt that we're impacted like every other company at the start of the pandemic, but looking back, it's true we performed much better than our expectations in the first few weeks and months of 2020. I put this down to the changes we made, a new vision and a modern offer, a renewed focus on creativity, making WPP simpler and more straightforward, investing more in technology and data and in our people and culture. Our purpose and vision and values and business model are working together and working well. We delivered our fastest organic growth in 20 years. And that's entirely down to the hard work of our people, our clients' trust in us, underpinned by being the creative transformation company. So you must ask how we bring this to life in India. Let me share with you some of our plans. India is a significant and important market for WPP. We have some 8,000 people in more than 100 offices across 7 cities who use deep local understanding to deliver creative transformation across global and local brands. We fully support Prime Minister Modi for his pledge at the COP26 summit in Glasgow in November to cut India's total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tonnes by 2030, reduce the carbon intensity of the nation's economy, and achieve net zero by 2070. In addition, the Indian government ruling that mandates CSR should be in the budget of business is a genuine, innovative and creative approach, and one that we support with our WPP Foundation. It's actions like these, coupled with the ambitions of our people, that makes India so very special to WPP, and we want to return that goodwill. WPP is genuinely interested and investing in growing our presence in markets like India and increasing our focus on recruiting highly skilled talent at a local level, not just in our creative industries, but also in the technology industry. I'm very excited to share with you today that WPP is investing in India now. Specifically, we will recruit over 200 new roles from IT specialists and engineers to support staff in our brand new Global Engineering Centre based in Chennai. Our new WPP colleagues in Chennai will play a vital role in further developing our technology offering. We'll have a unique opportunity to work together with colleagues in the industry that has the power to create positive change at scale. This is not outsourcing, quite the opposite. This centre will become a focal point facilitating collaboration to deliver highly complex, critical technology tasks here in India. India is a strategic location for technology globally, and this investment forms part of the $1 billion we invest annually in our technology stack. There'll be more news on this programme shortly, which I hope you'll look out for. So, in closing, and thank you for listening to me, we've discussed the renewed need for purpose. We've looked at the rise of technology, creativity, and empowerment of people. We've taken critical learnings from the past 2 years to look at what's needed for this great resurgence. And I've shared my views of some of those experiences, both personally and WPP. And I can say that now, more than ever, I'm convinced that this should start with purpose. And our unique role at WPP to use the power of creativity, both to find innovative solutions to problems and find ways to communicate them to customers, is what we believe in, and the role that we can play in building a better future for our people, our planet, our client, and our communities. So thank you very much for listening, and I wish you a fantastic day.